Chat.
God is quiet during a trial so that our faith can be tested and made stronger. And other times God can feel distant because we distance ourselves from God due to our sin. This is why it's important for us as Christians to regularly reflect on whether we've allowed sin to grow in our life. And sometimes the sin doesn't look bad per se, because sometimes sin can look like us not prioritizing God the way that we should, and we put off our Bible reading or prayer, and we devote all our time, energy, and attention to school, work, family, friends, or shows or social media. So might I remind all of us that the first of the 10 Commandments is not to have any gods before the one and true God. And I feel like we fall to this often simply because we don't have time or are too busy. Which isn't true, because we all have time to give to God, but many times we just choose not to make him a priority. And as an additional word of caution, please note that sin can grow quietly, and if steps aren't taken to control hidden addiction or acting upon sinful desires, God can stay distant for long periods of time, simply because we've hardened our hearts and have moved away from God ourselves. And tip number 4, focus on taking one step at a time. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 to 2. Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. In this passage, the author of Hebrews tells Christians that because they have a lot of people who also lived a life of faith, to run with endurance and to get rid of anything that could potentially get in the way of that. And please note that the author tells us to get rid of weight and to get rid of sin. So there's a difference between weight and sin. So I'd like to mention that sometimes we allow certain things to be in our lives that aren't sin, but those things can act like weight because they'll get in the way of us following God more effectively. So if I were to bullet point...
That's a nice explanation. Weight could mean things that are materialistic, like valuing money over God, valuing success in this world over God, which is nothing, because it's all going to perish, you know what I'm saying? Valuing friendships more than God is basically putting things before God, you know what I'm saying? God's supposed to be your first thing, your first priority. When you wake up, you should pray, you know what I'm saying? When you go to sleep, you should pray. You should pray always, bruh. This thingy, valuing a phone more than God is a sin, bruh, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't lie and say I'm perfect, bro. I won't lie to you, chat, and say I'm perfect, but I'm trying to be perfect, bro. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't wake up and only think of, oh, let me go plug music. Oh, let me go. We should wake up and say, let's go plug the Bible, bro. Once we get to that mindset, bro, I'm telling you, dog, everything is gonna be moving in lekker for you, bro. Everything is gonna be moving, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing we should actually tap into.
This verse into 3 practical steps. It would be to 1, get rid of weight, 2, get rid of sin, and 3, run with endurance. To get rid of weight, we can start limiting things that aren't sin, like maybe limit video games or shows or social media. To get rid of sin, we can start taking steps to eliminate sin by either confessing our sin to a church leader or a fellow Christian, or by getting direct help either through a counseling service or ministry. And to run with endurance, maybe we can start by building one small habit that will grow our walk with God, like maybe reading 1 chapter of the Bible a day before work or school, or by taking a walk around the block and praying while we do it. And as a final note, please know that you don't actually take steps to get closer to God because he's far. Because the reality is that God will never leave us nor forsake his followers. So it's not a matter of us lessening the distance that we've put between us and God. Rather, it's about us being filled with the Holy Spirit so we can become more aware of his presence because he's already there. Or if he's purposely quiet, it's a matter of just waiting and observing until we learn the lesson that he's giving. Okay? So if God feels distant right now,